A viral 4-part video sent shockwaves through social media, alleging that music mogul Diddy collapsed in court following the latest developments in the Cassie case.
After hearing the news that bail was denied, Combs looked back at his 3 sons who were sitting about 3 rows behind him and patted his chest. When I asked his attorney what Combs said to him after that news, he said, quote, "I'll see you tomorrow." Why? Because they will be back in court tomorrow to fight that bail denial. This afternoon, though, Combs walked into court wearing a black T-shirt and gray sweatpants. He kept his focus mainly on the judge and at times looked at his attorney when he was speaking. The 54-year-old hip-hop mogul was charged with trafficking, racketeering, and interstate transportation for prostitution following a months-long Homeland Security investigation. Prosecutors allege that Combs used his business empire to force women to engage in sexual acts with professional sex workers at events he called freak-offs.
Coming into the courtroom, the disgraced music mogul, Diddy looked a little rough around the edges compared to how he usually has been looking in these.
The shocking claim of a man in an orange jumpsuit collapsing in a courtroom immediately grabbed attention. Though that footage has since been debunked as misleading, the real-life drama unfolding in and around the courtroom is far from over. Cassie, formerly known as Cassandra Ventura, has come forward with new evidence, adding yet another layer to Diddy's legal and personal unraveling. With his legacy hanging in the balance, what's really happening behind those guarded prison walls and courtroom doors? And could these explosive new revelations reshape a reputation built over decades?
Talked a lot about someone who could be a major witness at a trial, someone who is most likely cooperating with the government, someone whose allegations against Combs, I think it would be fair to say, make up a huge part of the current indictment. I'm talking about Cassandra Ventura, Cassie, Combs' ex-girlfriend. And remember, she sued him back in November of 2023 for sexual assault, battery, sex trafficking. This was among other claims. And that case ultimately started the ball rolling with more lawsuits filed against Combs and ultimately culminated with these criminal charges. In fact, there is an argument to be made that in Sean Combs' indictment for racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution, she's allegedly victim 1, who was allegedly sex trafficked by force, fraud, or coercion. There is an argument to be made that that is her. Actually, one of her main accusations that we're going to go into is specifically described in this indictment. Again, it seems to me that her claims are what...
The claim that Diddy has received a life sentence is false. No judge has issued such a verdict, nor does any live-streamed footage confirm his alleged collapse. Instead, he remains detained at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, facing serious charges of coercion and abuse that span several years.
Historically has had tremendous problems, and the problems aren't resolved.
Combs' lawyers originally hoping he could await trial under house arrest at his mansion, now arguing for him to be moved to a prison in New Jersey in the lead-up to this trial, citing the prison's poor conditions, violence, and deaths. On Wednesday, his lawyer said he was being held in a special housing unit with an extra level of security.
Posted by TikTok user Wade Wilson Cree on November 11th. The viral video series quickly racked up over 400,000 views. It featured a collage of striking images, a man in a wheelchair, a sudden collapse, and an air of defeat. But beyond the digital spectacle lies a far more unsettling reality. A once revered music executive now grappling with the weight of his own actions.
Collapsed in court because he heard his sentence.
I didn't see that video.
So there was a huge article and it pretty much said Diddy heard his sentence and collapsed.
Okay.
Because he was in shock. This is a picture of him collapse. That's not Diddy, bro. That's not Diddy, man. That does not look like bro.
No.
That does not look like him.
But did you see his mugshot? It didn't look
That
like him.
didn't look like him either.
That's what I'm saying. He was way thinner.
It was weirdly shaped.
It was weirdly shaped.
You know what he looked like? You know the alien from American Dad?
It's the gray one, right?
Yeah, a little bit, right? A little bit?
Yeah.
I think his name's Roger. He puts disguises and shit on. That's definitely him, bro.
Like his head was weirdly shaped though. It wasn't.
Indicate that during the Christmas season, a time meant for warmth and reunion, Diddy suffered a severe meltdown while behind bars. According to one source, the record producer, whose appearance has noticeably changed with graying hair and a thinner frame, desperately pleaded with prison guards to take him to a hospital for observation. His request was reportedly denied, leaving him to endure panic attacks alone during what many described as a nightmare holiday.
Sub-Romanian, he didn't bite on that, and Diddy's bail was denied for the 3rd time. According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown. A person close to him apparently said, quote, spending the holidays behind bars was a nightmare for him. If we're to believe all this, Diddy had a meltdown in his cell and begged the guards to take him to the hospital for observation, but they refused. This same friend or person told the Daily Mail, quote, he eventually managed to calm himself down with the meditation technique he's been using while he's been behind bars. It took him a few hours of deep breathing and focusing to get out of the bad space he was in, but he finally managed it.
Saying the hardest part for El Diddums is the food. And
Food. Okay.
Food, not the lack of roofies or booze, but the food. He, like his first night of jail was Swedish meatballs. And then they have stuff that sounds good, but the old Metropolitan Detention Center has got to make it vomit-inducing. Things like tacos or fish. Nobody wants fish in jail or on an airplane or in a microwave. It's just, so yeah, I'm sure he's probably losing a few pounds. And that's his complaint about.
Despite his high-powered legal team promising a swift bail release, Diddy remains behind bars, only intensifying public scrutiny. Meanwhile, a court order has reportedly mandated the destruction of his jail cell notes, an unprecedented move that further highlights the controversial nature of his detention. But the story takes an even more dramatic turn with the emergence of Cassie's lawsuit, shifting the focus from courtroom spectacle to deeply personal and unsettling allegations.